That was kind of intense. Do they do that often?
These guys are like meta commenters on what's going on in the story.
The song and dance thing?
The cutscene.
Yeah, what do they think they are? Some sort of anime street gang? What sort of self-obsessed jerk has their own theme song? Don't be a downer, pal. No, I was talking about the dramatic encounter. Oh, between Maddy and Ned? Yes. Yeah, they've got chemistry. Not the romantic kind, the explosive kind. Can't leave them in the same room together, or they'll kill each other. Bad history? Matt is just a serially troublesome person from Ned's perspective. Doesn't help that she can't stop herself from pulling pranks on him. No, I suppose not. I mean, he doesn't make it easy either. I don't think he's used to having his authority questioned. She really gets under his skin. Wasn't he a famous criminal? And therein lies the irony of the situation. What a strange world we live in.
Yes, indeed, where a milk carton, an upside-down bottle, and whatever kind of box this is talking. Ah, we get to pick again. So one that we want, if we want to unlock the stuff, for sure would be Maddy, right? Which one is associated with Maddy? Amateur? That might be Ned though, but I'll give it a go. And then I think for the other one, we had Melbourne. And then we needed Ashley, I think? Which one would be Ashley? Itchy is probably... I don't know if they're all associated with people or what though. It's kind of hard to guess. Housemates sounds like a Kishan kind of thing. Pockets, Kishan. Bourbon, more food. We have food already. Storm. Resurrection. Kappa, was that Shay? Fled. I looked at fled, but I picked stress. Quantum. Mythical. Yeah, I'm picking a lot of this. Is this too samey? This quantum, resurrection, mythical, they kind of feel like the same category. I just hope I get a Maddy. That's what I'm really hoping for. And then we'll do a weird one. Dog's dinner. Expiry. Oh. How about instead of stressed, we do expiry? But that's also kind of in the same vein. Oh, whatever. Dog's dinner. Just give me a Maddy. Death. Time comes for us all. Quantum. Magic. Okay. Amateur. Maddy. Guests. Gosh dang it. Resurrection. Lore. Lore. Okay, we needed this one. Storm. Melbourne. Oh, dang it. Mythical. Oh no, we're not gonna get a Maddy. Dog's dinner. Ah, of course, that's food again. Yeah, so don't pick food again. And then, I don't think we got anything that's good. We got a scroll, but that's not good enough. We gotta keep going. I think it might help if we knew which categories were available to begin with. Oh, we're upstairs. We've never even been upstairs. Oh, billiards. Oh, frick, we can do this one. Brad took a sip from his beer. It was non-alcoholic, but there was something about the taste that put him in that perfect state of ease and alertness. Maybe it was a placebo effect. Maybe it was the fact that his... Who is even Brad? I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just unlocking these extra things. Maybe it was the fact that his non-alcoholic beer was still 0.5% ABV, and he was on his 5th bottle. Maybe it was a dry aftertaste that kept him frosty. Brad chased the thoughts from his head as he leaned over the table and lined up his next shot. He eyed the problematic 9-ball in the upper right corner. Which one would that be? This one? He had a low percentage shot on it if he elected to bank it in, but he had 2 other stripes in the lower left to set it up. If he had an audience, he'd go for the bank shot for sure. While Brad was a competitive player, a big part of what he liked about competition was a chance to shine. But today, there was no one to impress, no audience for his flashy low percentage shots. He took the shots on the 11 and 12, and 3 shots later, the 9 was sunk, with an easy shot on the 8-ball to seal the deal. Brad scanned the table. 4 solids remained, a dismal performance on his part. Or a stellar performance on the part of the Stripes player, depending on how you looked at it. That was a problem with playing against yourself. You always won, but you always lost, too. Every crowning victory was also a crushing defeat, and every defensive shot was an attempt to screw yourself. Brad chugged the remainder of his beer and added the glass bottle to his collection of empties, which now stood 5 bottles strong. He took a moment to survey the room. It was empty. His table was the only one of the 4 that was in use. That didn't come as any surprise to Brad. It was early in the evening, and he had grown accustomed to spending time alone in this room, knowing instinctively when he could come here to be alone and what hours the other sharks showed up. Brad grabbed a triangle. It was looped around his collection of beer bottles and started putting the balls in order for another round. Someone came up the stairs, and Brad looked up briefly, long enough to see a woman who he recognized as the one who had served him the beers that had kept him company for the past hour or 2. Maddy? Beer, though. They're serving beer here. Each time he'd gone downstairs to order another beer, she had a serious, almost stern expression, but over the past several visits to the bar, he'd come to like her presence. He was used to servers who attempted to flatter him, and yet, this woman didn't so much as smile at him. But there was something in the way she declined to comment on his choice of non-alcoholic beer that made her seem like one of the least judgmental servers he'd ever met. And somehow, that made him feel more welcome than the warmest smile a server could offer. Several steps behind the woman, he saw an older-looking man. The old man stopped in front of one of the tables, the one opposite Brad's, and began chalking up his cue. The barista set the wooden box of balls on the table in front of him, and she began placing the triangle on the table before the old man waved her away. Brad directed his attention to the old man. Brad usually offered people a game when they came up, but the old man seemed like he was prepared to keep to himself, so Brad said nothing and tried to focus on his own table. Everyone's very quiet here. He set up to break, and the old man coughed right in the middle of Brad's stroke. He hit the cue ball just a fraction of a degree off center, and it bounced off the rack into one of the side pockets as the rest of the balls jostled around the table. Oh, stink. Brad didn't swear when playing pool. The habit had been ground out of him early on when he started playing competitively in youth league. His earliest experiences with competitive billiards had been in an environment that forbade obscenities and issued foul penalties every time he let out an involuntary shit or fuck, so he'd had to find cleaner substitutes. The swears he'd grown up with were still part of his everyday vocabulary, but leaning over the pool table was enough to put him in the competition mindset. Brad turned around and looked at the man, wondering if he had heard Brad. If the man had heard, he certainly didn't show it. The geezer was lined up and making several practice strokes, getting ready to break his own table. Brad turned back to his own table and tried to divorce his attention from the old man. Still, It was impossible to avoid hearing the clacking of balls on the other table, and he found himself subconsciously counting the knocks every time he had heard the cue ball strike. Break, came the sound from the old man's table. 2, 3, 4. Brad put down his break cue and picked up the leather-tipped cue that was leaning against the table. 5, 6. Brad chalked his cue, trying to avoid the tilt from his bad break. 7, 8. Brad lined up to shoot and realized that the old man was clearing his table, fishing the balls out of the pockets and collecting them in the triangle. Brad did a mental double take. Had the old man sunk the 8-ball after 8 strokes including break? Brad continued playing his own table, but kept an eye on the old man this time, as best as he could without looking like he was staring. It happened again. Break. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A perfect clean sweep. As the old man began clearing the table, Brad walked over and piped up. "Excuse me," he said, "but I couldn't help but notice that you just hit 2 perfect games." "What's that?" The old man turned to Brad, squinting at him. Brad repeated himself, a bit louder this time. "I was just complimenting you on 2 perfect games. Impressive stuff." The old man heaved his shoulders in a gesture that looked more like a sigh than a struggle. Maybe it's not Maddy and Shay because this guy is an actual old man who is hard of hearing. "Sometimes you get a bit of luck on your side," said the man. Brad found himself annoyed by the old man's inability to accept the compliments. That kind of humility had always struck him as somehow dishonest. I can kind of relate to the old man because I don't like getting complimented either. It's this really weird mentality, and lately, or recently, I learned that it might be a sign of very low self-esteem. Because somebody complimenting you, saying, "Oh, you're so good at this and that," this goes against your image of yourself. So there's this, like, dissonance, and that's why you can't just say thank you, and that's why you can't just accept it. You have to tell the person who's giving you a compliment that, "No, you're wrong, I'm not that good." "Still," said Brad, "you won't see a novice hit 2 consecutive perfect games." But on the other hand, I also feel like in general, society prefers people that are more humble, because if you brag, bragging is generally considered a negative thing, so we probably wouldn't like a person who goes something like, "Yeah man, I just hit 2 consecutive perfect games. I'm good." You need some amount of skill to pot every ball like that. The old man offered another ineffectual shrug. "Do you, wanna play a game?" Brad gestured to his own table, which was already set up. "Most of the people who come around here tend to be novices. I've been kind of itching for a bit of competition." Brad paused, and the old man said nothing. "Of course, if you'd prefer to play your own table, I don't mean to intrude." "We can play," said the old man. "Though, if I can shoot a perfect 3rd time, you won't get to." "If you could pull that off, I'd be impressed," said Brad. The old man racked the balls, and after a bit of jostling, stepped away from the table to let Brad break. Brad leaned over the table and took several practice strokes before finally connecting with a cue ball. The break was weaker than he had expected, but he managed to sink 1 ball, which was enough to start his spree. Still, the break was barely legal. What does he mean by saying that if we get 3 games, then you're not gonna get a chance to? Is he leaving after the 3rd game? Brad looked at the table with a bit of annoyance and realized that he hadn't bothered to check to see that the rack was frozen before he broke. It was probably the old man's failing eyesight, racking the balls by feel rather than sight, sometimes made it possible to miss small gaps between the balls. Oh, hard of hearing, failing eyesight? Old man for sure. And yet, he can still do this. Brad lined up his next shot, which was a straight in to the middle pocket. He briefly visualized the trajectory of the cue ball in his mind. It would knock the 6 ball in easily, and then bounce toward the front of the table. Brad wasn't confident of where exactly the ball would stop, but he was confident that regardless of its position, he'd be able to do something with it. He took the shot, and the 6 ball went in. Solids! After the cue ball settled, found himself with no good options. Brad smiled. Most other players in this situation might be cringing, but Brad saw this as a challenge. Making something out of nothing was his specialty, and after several moments of eyeing different angles, he settled on a shot toward one of the bottom pockets. One of the striped balls was in the way, so Brad hit the cue ball several degrees to the side, giving it just enough spin to curve its trajectory around the striped ball. It hit the solid 3 at just the right angle, and the shot was made. Brad looked at the old man, hoping for some kind of reaction. If he has failing eyesight, he probably hadn't seen. The old man's mouth remained a flat line, but Brad could see his eyebrows arch. Even if the reaction was subtle, Brad could tell he had made an impression. If anything, the lack of obvious expression on the old man's face struck him as a deliberate attempt to not show a reaction, which made the fact that he had managed to get a slight rise out of the old man feel like an even sweeter victory. Brad made his next shot quickly. He had an easy straight-in shot on the 2 ball, and he made it without thinking much about where the cue ball would land, convincing himself that was a problem that the future Brad would have to deal with. The 2 ball entered its pocket without putting much of a fight, and several seconds later, present Brad found himself scolding past Brad for putting him in such a foul position. Don't we do that all the time? Leaving things for the future person? He was corner hooked. With the cue ball trapped in the nook next to the corner pocket, the only angles available to Brad existed in a 60-degree arc, a drastically tighter window than his usual 360-degree array of options. Still, after surveying his limited options, he breathed a sigh of relief as a relatively straightforward bank shot presented itself. It was an awkward angle, but Brad was sure that he could coax the 3 ball into the opposite corner pocket. He took the shot and watched as the 3 ball complied, helpfully rolling into the pocket he had designated. Unfortunately, the cue ball went with it, ending Brad's turn and placing the ball in the old man's possession. Well, stink. The old man fished the cue ball out of its pocket, and Brad could swear he saw the man wink at him before placing the cue ball down, lining up a simple shot on a side pocket. If the old man's this good, we're not gonna get a chance to play again. That's what he meant earlier, because in pool, you keep taking shots until your turn ends, and your turn ends when you stop getting the balls in the pockets. So if he's that good, we're not gonna get a chance to play again. He took the shot, and the 9 went in. Then the 11. Then the 12. As Brad observed each shot, he found himself taking it for granted that the striped ball would enter its designated pocket, and instead focused on the cue ball. Somehow, the cue ball always wound up in a position that presented the oldster with the ideal chip shot. Ball after ball fell off the bed, until finally, only the black 8 ball and Brad's solid-colored balls remained. Fortunately for Brad, the 8 ball and the cue ball were at opposite sides of the table, with several of Brad's striped balls in between. The cue ball had always seemed to wind up in a position where it offered a shot to one of the geezer's balls, and Brad had found himself wondering whether it was careful planning on the old man's part, or just a streak of good luck. I think you know the answer to this, if this guy's been doing perfect games. The fact that the man seemed to be without any easy options made it seem like perhaps he wasn't the amazing planner that Brad had originally made him out to be. And at last, the old man's luck had run out at the moment he needed it the most. The old man wore a contemplative expression as he walked around the table, inspecting different angles. He lined up several different shots, but didn't commit to any of them. As the old man searched for a good shot, Brad mentally calculated what he would do if he were the one trapped in this situation. If he ricocheted the cue ball off 2 of the solids, he could hit the 8 ball at the right angle. Or, If he put enough spin on the cue ball to curve it around the stripes, he could probably get the 8-ball in without having to bank it. Still, those were the options that required a lot of dexterity and control. Dexterity and control that the old man probably lacked. What, 'cause he's old? It wasn't an issue of the man's age. Even a young pool player with steady hands would have trouble making one of those shots. The old man eventually gave up and settled for making a defensive shot that put the cue ball behind the 8-ball. He didn't go for the perfect. Now the tables were turned. Brad was the one cut off from his balls by a problematic 8-ball. Oh, so he can't get the perfect shot, but he's giving it to you. Brad smiled. Now he can show off. He lived for shots like this. He lined up a shot and visualized the trajectory of the ball head, but there was really no way for him to perfectly predict how things would go. He just knew, as if by instinct, that if he hit the 8-ball at this angle, good things would happen. Brad took the shot. The cue ball hit the 8-ball, and the 8-ball hit the 1-ball, and the 1-ball hit the 7-ball, bouncing it against the front of the table and back into one of the side pockets. Brad smiled. Things couldn't have gone better if he'd planned them. Though, in a way, he was sure that his subconscious mind had been expecting things to work out like this. Instinct and muscle memory doing what his calculating mind couldn't. Now that the table was conveniently free of striped balls, Brad had no trouble sinking the remaining consecutive shots he needed to close out the game. He's won! As Brad lined up the final shot on the 8-ball, Brad studied the old man, looking for some kind of reaction. If the old man was responding, he couldn't tell. Brad closed his eyes as he completed the final stroke, as he always did. Brad wasn't really religious. He had stopped going to church with his mom when he was 12 years old. But somehow, it felt right to complete the game with his eyes closed, as if he were lifting up some prayer and leaving the result of the game to God. That's called being cocky. Damn, said the old man, as the 8-ball fell into its pocket. Okay, well, he got lucky. He closed his eyes, but the shot still made it okay. Brad flinched for a moment. Nothing about the man's behavior up to that point had indicated he was impressed with Brad's abilities, but for some reason, he had been expecting a bit of praise from the man for winning that game. Perhaps a damn was all that he was prepared to offer. Excuse me, said Brad. I don't think we bothered to exchange names. I'm Brad. Thomas. The old man extended a hand. I've gotta say, said Brad, you're quite a player. I take it you're not from around here? No, said the man. I grew up in Brisbane, retired in Sydney. Wait, I'm just thinking about it now, but this pool table being here means that it's a memory associated with this pool table, right? So this exchange, we don't know any of these people, but it probably happened within this cafe. Yeah? Is that fair to say? Then the barista was probably still Maddy, but we don't even know who these people are, but we're getting this long story about them. Because remember, normal people visit the cafe too, living or dead. I'm just passing through. The young man nodded. I figured. I actually grew up in this neighborhood. I played on tables just like these way back when I was a kid, so I know most of the people who are on the local competitive circuit. I guess someone like you would have to play competitively, huh? You don't pick up skills like that in a tiny pond. You'd be surprised, said Thomas. A man can accomplish quite a bit when given enough idle time. That was kind of like Brad tooting his own horn a little bit because he's saying, hey, you're really good, but I beat you. But you have played competitively, I assume, said Brad. I used to, yes, said Thomas. I actually formally retired many years ago, but kept the table at home for practice to keep my mind sharp. Where did you compete? Said Brad. Oh, I toured in England, said Thomas. Wait, said Brad. You were a pro? Touring? A pro is someone who makes a salary, said Thomas. The exact thing we were talking about before, the difference between an amateur and a pro. In the end, I won enough to cover my travel expenses, and enough to make up for the time I spent not working a real job. Brad was visibly excited. You said England. Did you ever play in the WBC? Yup, said the old man. I played the WBC for a few years. Eventually, I decided the title was a summit I'd never reach. So I quit. Wait, said Brad. Are you Thomas Walsh? Indeed I am, said Thomas. You're a legend, said Brad, and you beat him. I think you might be overstating it, said Thomas. Even when I was at my prime, I wasn't the best. Results speak for themselves, but he knows you. Nah, fuck that, said Brad. You were a finalist for 6 years running. Nobody's ever been that consistent. Ah, finalist, but never won. It's kinda sad, isn't it? The person who gets into the finals, but if they don't win, they're never gonna get as much prize money, as much reputation, as much fame as the person who wins first place. Even the best pros who manage to run hot burn out after more than 2 or 3 years. I mean, it's really common to see guys who spike events and then fail to even qualify the next year. Brad paused, wavering a bit before throwing in a bit of humble self-aggrandizement. I mean, that's been a big problem for me. I do get the impression that Brad is a bit of a braggart. And that's why he didn't really like it when Thomas is not a braggart. Thomas sipped his beer. Whether he was deliberately choosing to ignore Brad's comment or simply hadn't taken notice wasn't clear. I've spent hundreds of hours watching your videos, said Brad. I didn't realize there were videos of me, said Thomas. I have the finals tapes from 1967 and 1968, said Brad. They didn't record them before that, but your last 2 years got recorded for posterity. They were kind of rarities at this point, though. I had a coach who had a vault of old footage. That's how I got my hands on your videos. Coach? Thomas arched an eyebrow. Yeah, said Brad. Did you ever have a coach? Thomas shook his head. We mostly just taught ourselves and taught each other. Sometimes, you got to practice with people who were better than you, but they weren't really coaches to teach you how to play. Well, I mostly taught myself, said Brad. Okay, Brad, you can stop bragging now. But after I started winning some regionals, I joined a team so that I could get sponsored and have a group to train with. Interesting, said Thomas, while not making it sound like he was interested. Brad waited for Thomas to question further, but no question came. Brad decided to continue, without an invitation. I won the WC in 2012. No luck since then, I take it, said Thomas. Brad stammered for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Well, yeah. Like I said, I've had some events where I managed to run hot, but I've never been a consistent player. Not like you, anyway. Brad offered a sheepish grin. My mom had an album full of clippings of all these articles talking about me like I was some kind of prodigy, the next big thing. Now it feels like I'll be forever a footnote in history. Brad waited for the words of affirmation to come from his hero, but Thomas just took another drink from his glass, finishing it off before setting it down on the table, next to Brad's empty bottles. Said Brad. Can I get you a drink in exchange for another game? I don't think he's gonna agree. It would be a real pleasure. Oh, sure, said Thomas. Get me a Guinness. Actually, make it 2. Brad rushed down the stairs and returned several minutes later with a tray bearing 2 pints of Guinness and 2 more NAs for himself. This is a really long story. It's a bit longer than I was expecting because, I mean, it's not part of the main story right now, right? I'm wondering if I can skim this a little bit. Thomas began setting up the table for the next game, and Brad hovered over him. You know, this place is pretty magical. I mean, getting to play a game of pool, I never imagined this would happen, but in a place like this. I was thinking about how Thomas won the regionals in 1967, right? And 68? But this guy won in 2012. I mean, that's over 40 years. I wonder if Thomas is dead. He wasn't quite sure how to say it, but figured Thomas knew what he was gesturing to. Several moments later, Brad finished a thought just to kill the silence. I mean, this is sort of the place where anything can happen, you know what I'm saying? If he died today, that's why he's getting to this cafe, and he's getting to play pool again. Not anything, said Thomas. There are limits. Well, yeah, said Brad. But still, two former champs, one coming back from, from beyond the grave, so to speak. So to speak? That's not the kind of encounter you'd expect to have anywhere else. Thomas arched his eyebrows. Or maybe Brad is dead. We don't know. Magical indeed. When I walked up here, I didn't realize from looking at you that you were, well, he rubbed his chin. Let's just say that I don't meet a lot of pool pros at bars. One hell of a coincidence that it would be the night that I'm here. He took a sip of his beer. You want a break? Break? Said Brad. Thomas gestured to the configuration of the balls on the table. Oh, right. Sure. He took a moment to inspect the pyramid. The rack was nice and tight. Had it been like that for the first game? I'm gonna start going a little bit faster, okay? Yeah, Brad broke, and he managed to sink 5 balls consecutively. Like magic, his shots always managed to connect, even the tricky ones. Some people might buckle under pressure, but Brad's performance always seemed to rise to the occasion. Brad knew he was on a streak. But this shot is a little bit difficult, but doable. Brad knew that he couldn't mentally calculate this out properly, but he's gonna do it by instinct. Whatever the result was, he'd figure it out. Brad took the shot, and as he predicted, the cue ball knocked the last striped ball into the corner pocket. The cue ball bounced off the table, back toward Thomas's cluster of balls, and hit one, which hit another, and another, which hit the 8 ball. Brad found himself grinning in elation. He got a perfect game. Oh, he'd hit the 8 ball, and it was headed right towards the corner, where there were no balls to intercept it. It was headed right there. But it slowed down, and Brad felt a sinking feeling, as he knew that the friction of the table wouldn't be enough to stop it from going in. As the 8 ball rolled toward the pocket, Brad felt an overwhelming sense of dread. He was fully aware of the impending disaster, yet powerless to stop it. The game had been going so well up until that moment. He had been about to hit a perfect game in front of his childhood hero, and now was about to lose it in the most inglorious way imaginable. Brad closed his eyes and looked away. He didn't need to see it. The sound of the ball plunking into the pocket was enough to tell him that he'd just lost the game. Is this such a shameful thing though? Well, I mean, you win some, you lose some, right? Oh, that's it. It just ended very randomly here. Moving balls around the table seemed a good way to distract himself from the embarrassing loss. Brad lifted the triangle from the table and presented the pyramid to Thomas. Interesting little short story, and I'm pretty sure at the minimum one of the people were dead. Which one was it? I mean, it's easy to say it's the old man, but we never really know, right? Oh, short stories in between the main story. Is that what's happening here? I don't got this. Yeah, delicate operation. Okay, well, maybe we'll get a chance to read it later on. Or not. I don't know. These are pretty long. Maddy's inbox. John Bean? At yahoo.com. This one I can do. Okay, to be honest, I'd rather read the main story right now. Can we just unlock it and read it later? But it's an email, so maybe this isn't gonna take that long. From Jeanette Annette. Subject, spirit beacon leaking. Okay. To admin@terminalvelocity.org. Hi, Madeline. That is your real name. This is Jeanette from the location down by the docks. I believe we met in person for the first time last month. I was opening up this morning and noticed that most of our spirit juice was gone. I checked the map and saw that you're the nearest location with a spirit beacon. I think you may have drained some of our supply. Spirit beacon. Spirit juice. What the heck is that? Honest mistake, I'm sure. But if you could stop running your spirit beacon during peak hours, that would be much appreciated. Thanks, and looking forward to working with you in the future. Okay. Is it kind of like Wi-Fi? Yeah, we're stealing somebody's Wi-Fi. Hi, Madeline. Hope you got my previous message. Just wanted to give an update on the spirit juice situation over here. I had several bottles that I marked last night just to confirm the issue, and when I got in this morning, the levels were below where I marked them. We're definitely losing spirit juice, and you're the only spirit beacon close enough to be affecting us. Please modulate your use to reasonable levels. Well, this person is being pretty nice, all things considered. I don't think this should be a problem as long as you're not running your beacon overnight. Again, not trying to assign blame here, but please be considerate to folks at other locations. Oh, is this like another cafe? Or is it just another location in general? Another one. Madeline. We are draining spirit juice over here so fast that if I sit and watch, I can see it disappearing from the bottle. You're the only spirit beacon that is even remotely close to where we are, so we really need you to stop. If it's affecting us, then it's probably affecting other locations. This is completely unacceptable. Fix this now. And I've ignored her all this time. Hey, Madeline. Care to explain why you weren't at the terminal today when I showed up? I spoke with a girl named Ashley, who said you decided to take the day off. What a coincidence. I was not impressed by the crying routine you had her do. Honestly, you should be ashamed of using a child's fake tears to try and hide from a situation that you caused. Turn off your beacon. I don't want to be the bad guy here, but if you don't do something about it, I'm gonna have to get the council involved. Uh-oh! Clarence from, new person, at yahoo.com. Oh, misplaced cutlery. Hi, Maddy. This is Clance from the docks location. Just wanted to give you a heads up. This morning we found that the site manager we recently hired, Jeanette, was leaving spirit juice in untempered glass bottles, and we had a bit of a leak, and we ended up having a bit of a problem with some animated cutlery. Ah, so the reason things come to life is because the spirit juice is leaking. The spirit juice is something that gives life to inanimate things? We have the situation under control here, and we're mostly sure everything is accounted for on our end. Unfortunately, this happened starting a week ago, which might be enough for something to wander off far enough that we wouldn't be able to detect it. The robots. Just wanted to let you know in case you find a possessed steak knife. Sorry about this. Rest assured that the person responsible for this won't have any opportunities to mess up anything of this magnitude again. Oh, Jeanette got fired! By the way, are you planning on going to M's birthday next month? Oh, I finally replied! Maddy Xiao. Oh my god, I replied like 2 months later, in October. Hi, Clance. Sorry I missed your message earlier. I no longer use this address. Please use contact@terminalvelocity.org for anything related to terminal business. Hope you enjoyed M's birthday party. I don't remember why I couldn't attend, but I'm sure it was a good reason. Like not wanting to be with people. Okay, this one's pretty short. It's basically just Maddy's inbox. Maybe she changed her email after the change in ownership. This place is called Terminal Velocity. This one... Oh, there's a new rule. We don't need to do anything to unlock it. You're overdue this week, said Ned. He tapped the list of rules that Maddy kept posted by the door. Okay, For these types of dialogue, the non-main story stuff, I'm gonna try to go a little bit faster because I need to save my voice for the important things. 24-hour rule. Have you been enforcing it? That's none of your business. Actually, it is my business. That's kind of what the word enforcer means, and I'm an enforcer. I'm supposed to scold you for breaking the rules. So audit me then. They don't keep a ledger though. How do you get audited if you don't? Some people overstay their welcome, other people understay it, said Shay. There's no need to strictly keep track of how long people stay, right? Just maintain the balance. The balance? What kind of balance? The balance of how many people in the cafe are alive or dead at once? Which we haven't been doing because we're letting dead people stay for too long. Change 24 hours to 23 hours. When you say 24 hours, people think you just colloquially mean one day, and they don't pay attention to the specific time. When you say 23 hours, people actually have to keep track of what time it is. That would be fine, said Shay, except for the part where you're cutting time off of people's stay. Trust me, said Ned. Anyone who would go right up to the limit is probably gonna go over it. That's true. You shouldn't be staying too close to the closing time of a cafe anyway, although this cafe seems to be running 24/7. Because, for example, if people get off at 10 PM, if you stay up until 10 PM, after you go, they still gotta work on closing the store and all that, so you're cutting into their time. You should celebrate whenever you manage to scooch someone out of here in under 24 hours, because the balance is upset and you've got to correct it. You can either correct the balance 1 hour at a time, or the council can come in here and repossess some souls. Or we can find someone who knows how to manage this property responsibly. Come on, buddy. I don't want to have to take this place away from you. Oh, so the cafe sounds like it was assigned by the Council of Death. They really want people to stay, though. They want everyone to get their full 24 hours before they get to leave. But okay, we're changing the rule to 23. Well, okay then. By the way, also take the green tea frappuccino off the menu. Frap should be for coffee, not tea. Done, said Maddy. Damn, I didn't realize you were so open to feedback. Also, that caramel. No, that's it. That's it. Get out of here, Ned. Please and thank you. Bye. Are you serious about the rule change, Maddy? Yeah. I'll change the sign and the menu after we close tonight. Wait, really? The rule change is just to keep him off our back. And the menu thing? I've been meaning to take that off anyway. It's the kind of menu item that attracts the worst sort of people. Well, okay. Though I do think we should change the rule back to 24 hours after things have had enough time to balance out. So are you saying that if somebody leaves a little bit earlier, then you can use that to pay off the debt? If they leave at 23 hours? Yeah, I guess so, because once a dead person leaves a cafe, they don't wander around for another hour, right? They just go to the next place they're supposed to go to. Of course. Wouldn't want to upset the balance too far in the opposite direction. What would we do with all that extra time anyway? You don't have the extra time. Oh? You want me to go downstairs? Wait, where are the stairs? Oh, it was right here. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Yeah. Enough reading for now, yeah? We can't get this stuff anyway. I'm gonna have to learn how to space these things out because they are quite a read. No. Oh, we can't afford it. Okay, that's too bad. Alright. Hopefully that pace of me reading a little bit faster was okay. I am a pretty fast skim reader, so I feel like I did get the gist of the story and we don't need to read every single word. But hopefully you could still keep up too. Day 2, 12 p.m. The terminal. Now for some more leisurely reading. Rise and shine. I don't wanna. You shouldn't waste your last hours on Earth sleeping. Whoever said I'll have plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead probably had a different idea of how things would play out after death. No sleeping? That's awful. Man, I was really hoping that I was having a really long, weird dream. Huh, sorry. No such luck. Some more pedantic magical practitioners are quite bothered by flippant and colloquial use of the word luck. Shay isn't one of them. Is there such thing as luck? Maybe there isn't. I'm still having trouble getting my head around it. I totally understand. Want a coffee? Yeah. Was that the hallway that keeps shifting? Just something simple. Hipster coffee coming right up. What's going on downstairs? I didn't even know you had it downstairs. There is more to this place than meets the eye. Maddy's down there, desperately trying to fix our debt situation. The necromancy. But how does that help with the debt? It sounds like she's hosting a cage match or something. Well, not exactly. But she's mentioned wanting to do that. There's some wrestler called the Red Comet. Oh! That she wouldn't stop talking about for a while. Is that a reference to Dana from Valhalla? Huh. Huh. And then, because of that, Ashley got obsessed with wrestling for a bit and kept trying to suplex me. Ashley's small, so she has to opt for wrestling moves that control the opponent's weight instead of trying to lift them. Did she manage to? She's tiny. Yes, she did. A couple of times. It was very humiliating. I can imagine. But to properly answer your question, Maddy's running a gambling ring. What? When you find yourself standing on the brink of death, a wager could be a chance at salvation, or the last chance to feel danger. Both of these appeal to different types of patrons. So, I don't know how it works exactly, but it sounds like there's a chance for us to get in even more debt. Ah, like she says, time is fungible. You can buy it, you can exchange it, you can get it in other ways. Downstairs? All by herself? It's a fairly unconventional one. And by unconventional, you mean... mortals generally aren't involved. The stakes are higher than usual. Oh. Coffee's ready. Come over and get it. They gamble for time, among other things. You don't sound like you're a huge fan of the idea. I'm not. It's undignified. I mean, as long as Maddy's not in danger, shouldn't it be fine? The council doesn't like it. They turn a blind eye, because we don't cause trouble otherwise. But I'd rather not have to worry about bad things coming our way. Because Maddy refuses to approach the problem from a different angle. And by the problem, you mean the debt, yeah? I was pretty drunk, but I think I remember Maddy storming off after Ned showed up. Yes. I'm a bit worried about her. Wish I could help. You all seem pretty nice. The thought's appreciated. Maddy will figure it out eventually, though, I'm sure. She just needs time. Yeah, that's what we're gambling for right now. Hey, thanks for the coffee, by the way. I just realized you haven't actually made me pay for a bunch of them. How'd you expect to pay for them? Oh, right. Yup, no cash. If I were feeling particularly capricious, I'd ask you to pay in time. But you're a nice kid, and you need every minute you've got. You wanna head downstairs? I can see your eyes darting to the stairs. I'm not going down, but I'm also not gonna stop you. Yeah, if that's okay. Go on then, I'll stick around up here. Catch you in a bit. Now downstairs is definitely what we saw before in the prologue. The stairs that led down to the basement were solid and well-worn, with smooth ruts on each step and a handrail that had been polished to a silky sheen through years of use. Kishan had always liked stairwells. People never lingered in them for long, and he found them to be a good place to catch a breather. He wasn't obsessed with them. That'd be weird. But he definitely appreciated a nice set of stairs. On further reflection, it was probably a little weird. Downstairs, Maddy's audience clamored for blood. Even the dead find blood sports compelling. What kind of blood? Is that a clock? There's more people down here than I thought there would be. From you to me. With the understanding that your remaining moments on this plane are limited, you surrender this time freely, without coercion, as agreed. Contract fulfilled. You're free to go. Everything comes at a price. Nothing risked, nothing gained. What's Maddy betting to get this time then? Whew. That's 3 in a row, you bloodthirsty bastards. The crowd cheered. Maddy was clearly an expert at winding them up into a frenzy. Who's next? The room fell dead silent. Come on, isn't there anyone here brave enough to challenge me? I thought you came here to play with knives, you pansies. Seriously, anyone? Don't hold out on me. Do I need to pick someone out from the crowd then? Is this what we've come to? Maddy's gaze swept the audience. Kishan! Good to see you upright. Interested in a game of skill? Me? Yes, you. Oh, sure? With knives? Give me some enthusiasm, my man. Sure. What's the game? 5-finger fillet. Some of the people in here just call it the knife game. You heard of it? I have heard of it. Oh, finally! Something I'm good at! Oh. Rise and shine. Kishan's good at this? Whoa. You've got a lot of knives in this place. Tell me about it. Damn, this thing has a good weight to it. Of course, I wouldn't make you compete with an inferior tool. Ha. What? Sorry, I was waiting for you to segue into calling me an inferior tool. Oh shit, that was low-hanging fruit, wasn't it? It was. Next time, mate. Sure. Kishan did another experimental slash, and this time, it made an audible whoosh. The spectators oohed and awed. But this wasn't for them. What kind of job would Kishan have to have had to be good at knives? His friends, his roommates were tradies. Maybe he's one too. He did have the tools on his belt, although he's wearing sandals. He knew that he only had one shot to get accustomed to the blade. You done showing off? Nothing wrong with putting on a little show. Sounds like you're stalling for time. Getting cold feet, perhaps? Not a chance. Wait, so if you guys gamble, then isn't Kishan gonna lose his time? Is that what you really want, Maddy? Let's get started then. You know what you're wagering? Shay mentioned something about you gambling with time. It's not gambling if it's a game of skill. But that's beside the point. We're both wagering 4 hours. If you win, it comes from the cafe's balance. If I win, it comes from yours. The cafe doesn't have a positive balance though, right? You've got around 16 hours left, in case you weren't keeping track. Shit, only that many? Want a little extra time to play with then? Hell yeah. Let's stop wasting it and get this over with. You sure you know what you're getting into? Most people are pretty shy about playing with the time they have left, especially when their tank's running as empty as yours. Yup, come on. Well, if you think about it, this is a place in between places. We're not staying here. At the end of the 24 hours, whether it's 24 hours or 16 hours or 4 hours, at the end of it, we have to go. If you think about it like that, maybe it's not as daunting. Although, you could also apply that to the context of life in general. It could be 3 years, it could be 80 years. By the end of it, we all gotta go. That's actually kind of depressing. Yeah, come on. Unless you're getting cold feet. Hardly. You've got 30 seconds. Smack the timer when you're ready. Oh my god! The crowd cheered, and Kishan fed off their enthusiasm. In response, Maddy leaned back and tapped her finger on the table, feigning impatience. He met her eyes, grinned, and continued his performance. His stabbing motion got faster as he went, the point narrowly missing each of his fingers. Stabs, strong enough to drive a knife a millimeter or two into the table, were good if you wanted to put on a show. And, of course, giving the spectators a show was part of the fun. You might be going fast enough to put on a show, but you're not going fast enough to win. How'd I do? 16 sets, if I counted correctly. Whoa. I couldn't do 16. That's how many Maddy beat me with. Is she gonna lose? Nah, she's gonna kick his arse. Feeling good about that result? Certainly am. Radio then. Watch closely. Oh, I will. 16. 1. 3. 7. 11. 15. Told ya, she's unbeatable. Is it magic? She could cheat if she wanted to. Definitely not, she's just that good. Poor guy, he didn't know what he was getting into. Sorry, mate. You beat me fair and square. I'm pretty impressed. I aim to please. How many did she do in the end? More than 16. I'll be taking those hours now, if you don't mind. Yeah, sure. How does this work? Just like this. You won't feel a thing. Kishan felt a brief tightness in his chest, and just for a moment, the tip of Maddy's finger burned white hot. So much for not feeling anything. You can't beat entropy. Anytime you do an energy transfer, there is gonna be some amount of energy lost to heat. Gosh dang it, law of conservation of energy. Ow! Shit! Someone in the crowd laughed. Sorry, I lied. It's done now, though. Alright! Does anyone else dare to compete with me? Come on! Looking for some actual decent opposition here. I'll take any challenge. Even if it's chess or something. Any challenge? I challenge you. To get everyone a drink. Rounds on me. He doesn't like it. She won today, so nothing bad happened. But one of these days, you know? I didn't realize you were watching. There wasn't anything happening upstairs, and I got bored. Right. He doesn't like coming down here. He definitely came down here on purpose. So... you took some hours from Kishan, huh? Yes, I did. Do you feel good about that? Che. Do you? I won them fair and square. He didn't know what he was getting into. There's an obvious power imbalance here that you're exploiting. Che isn't one to let you forget the responsibilities that come with power. Is there more to losing hours that we don't know about? I guess so, because we don't know what happens after you run out of hours. Kind of, if you stay for too long, your soul gets itchy, but what really happens, we don't really know. He knew the rules! That doesn't change anything. You led him to believe that he gets some extra time. Oh. Does he not? Maddy knows firsthand how seductive the promise of extra time can be. And? Barring a miracle on his part, that absolutely wasn't gonna happen. Oh, okay, so he can lose his time, but he can't win any. Maddy kinda took advantage of that because she was thinking, well, I'm not gonna lose anyway, so it doesn't really matter in the end. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's just passing through. A couple of hours won't make any difference. A kabedon. Maddy! I'm disappointed in you. Our patrons respect us. We need to earn that respect by treating them with respect ourselves. This is not respectful or dignified. Cheating vulnerable passers through out of their time. We're above that. We're better than that. I don't care whether you think it's dishonest or not. I want you to give that poor man his time back. Don't pout. This is serious. 4 hours? 4 hours is actually quite a bit when you consider how... well, we owe 25 days, right? 25 days? 4 hours is not negligible. If you can get 4 hours from everyone passing through, that does add up. I feel like a broken record saying this. But while I understand your intentions are good, you can't keep doing these things. It's all for you. If you really want to do this for me, find another way. This isn't worth it, Maddy. It breaks my heart to see you like this, and I know that you're trying your hardest. But this really, truly is not worth sacrificing your own self-respect over. Everyone here respects you. But you gambling with hours just cheapens that. I'll give the hours back. Shame. I was pretty great with a knife. Still not as good as me. That was pretty close. Ooh, does that mean that they played for hours before? Shay and Maddy?